It all kicks off on Earth 828. We see the brilliant Mr. Fantastic doing his thing, organizing gadgets. It's positive. They had been trying for 2 years, nothing. It got so painful they stopped talking about it, thinking maybe parenthood just wasn't in the cards for them. But today, everything changed. Emotions run high. What they wanted most is finally happening. Fantastic Four first came together. The host starts telling their story, how 4 bold explorers, Dr. Reed Richards, his best bud Ben Grimm, his wife Sue Storm, and her little brother Johnny Storm, set out on a space mission that flipped their lives upside down. During that mission, they got hit with a wild cosmic storm that rewired their DNA. When they made it back to Earth, things got weird in a superhuman kind of way. They started showing insane powers, and just like that, the Fantastic Four were born. Right after their transformation, they were already facing giant monsters and impossible threats, testing their grit, unity, and what it really meant to be a family. One of their most legendary feats, at the ceremony, the crowd goes wild as each of them is introduced. The genius, Mr. Fantastic, the sharp-minded Sue Storm, the fearless Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, and the rock-solid Ben Grimm, the Thing. The people love them, cheer for them, claim them as their own. They're not just superheroes, they're protectors. After the celebration, we catch them getting ready for a cozy family dinner with their loyal, always-on-point robot assistant helping out. Sue and Reed show up a little late. Someone cracks a joke about their delay, which throws Sue off for a second. Cue the awkward laughs and suspicious looks. Everyone starts sensing something's up, especially with how the couple's acting. And then, boom, Sue drops the news. She's pregnant. The room explodes with joy. Johnny and Ben are just as hyped as the future parents, straight up celebrating that they're going to be uncles. They promise to step up and be the best. The Fantastic family is growing, and everyone knows the best is yet to come. Even the news channels are buzzing. The 4 Fantastic are about to become 5. The hype is real. The whole crew kicks into baby prep mode, reorganizing their space, brushing up on parenting stuff, and doing their best to be ready for what's coming. But one question keeps floating around. Is this kid going to be born with powers, or just be a regular human? During a checkup for an ultrasound, a sudden alert from space cuts the moment short. Right then, Johnny storms in, all excited. He's found the designs for the team's new suits, but Mr. Fantastic hits him with a serious face. There's a new transmission, and it needs his full attention now. They gear up to receive the signal, but just before they can, boom, power outage. Total blackout. Without missing a beat, Johnny lights up the room with his powers so they can keep things moving. A little later, Sue Storm finds out her husband kinda outsourced crib assembly to their robot assistant. But as she looks into it more, she realizes Reed's been building something else on the side. A high-tech machine designed to analyze if the baby's gonna have genetic mutation or superpowers. Mr. Fantastic breaks it down. Anyone can build a crib, sure, but barely anyone on Earth can build a machine that might tell if their kid's going to be affected by the same cosmic radiation that rewired his own DNA. He believes it's crucial to be cautious, because who knows what kind of consequences could come out of it. But Sue, calm and steady like always, chooses not to rely on any machine. She uses her powers to show Reed a vivid, glowing image of the baby growing inside her, a perfectly normal little boy, at least on the outside. With quiet strength and love, she reminds him that not everything needs to be measured to be understood. Meanwhile, across town, Ben Grimm, the Thing, is just taking a stroll, blending in with the crowd as best he can. A bunch of kids run up to him, starstruck, asking if he can lift a car just for fun. Ben chuckles, shrugs, and makes it happen, hoisting the car like it's nothing. The kids lose it, cheering like crazy. Back at home, Reed proudly announces he's finally finished putting the crib together. He explains how he's been collecting data non-stop, trying to stay ahead of any risk, to build a future where his kid can be safe. But just when things start to feel calm again, the sky splits open. Something massive tears through the atmosphere. Johnny flames on and shoots up to check it out, only to see something straight up terrifying. A powerful figure, Shalabal, has just landed on Earth, and she's leaving chaos in her wake. The Fantastic Four regroup on solid ground, ready to face whatever's coming. Shalabal lands with a heavy presence and a solemn tone. She announces that her planet is doomed. Her world's about to be wiped out by an unstoppable force, the Devourer of Worlds. Stopping him? Not an option. The only thing left is to accept the end. She urges everyone to hold their loved ones close, to confess whatever's on their hearts before time runs out. Her voice is deep, steady, and final. This isn't a warning, it's a sentence. She declares the arrival of Galactus. Johnny, fired up, takes off after her, but when he catches up, she doesn't even flinch, just swats him away like nothing, sending him crashing back down with a single motion. The threat is real. The team kicks into action, tracking her movements, and as they dig deeper, something disturbing surfaces, a pattern. Entire planets gone, just vanished, all tied together by the same weird energy signature. And every one of them, Shalabal was there. Johnny tells the team that when they crossed paths, she spoke to him in some language he'd never heard. He didn't get the words, but the weight behind them stuck with him. Later that night, he dives into the old archives, dusty recordings of ancient interstellar languages. Hours go by, but finally, he finds something that sounds eerily close to what she said. Meanwhile, Mr. Fantastic rolls out the new suits, high-tech, sleek, and fully upgraded. He breaks it down for the team, enhanced functions, built to handle extreme conditions, whether they're fighting for their lives or exploring the far reaches of space. Right now, safety comes first for the team and for the baby on the way. The Fantastic Four step back into the public eye at a huge event. Reed Richards takes the mic and reflects. 4 years ago, they were just explorers with a shared dream to reach the stars. Space was the final frontier, full of promise and wonder. But the unknown doesn't come free. It brings fear, change, and responsibility. That's why today they're heading back into space, not as dreamers, but as defenders of humankind. After the speech, Ben Grimm walks up to Reed to thank him for the new gear, but also to drop something real. He tells him to stop blaming himself for what happened all those years ago. Reed still feels guilty, thinking the old suits he designed caused their mutations, but Ben, always blunt and honest, reminds him none of them hold that against him, and it's time to stop carrying that weight into this next mission. With hearts steady and purpose locked in, they wave goodbye to the crowd. They board the ship, buckle in, and just like that, the journey begins. Earth fades behind them as they rocket into deep space, hitting speeds faster than light. They're heading straight for Galactus, though no one really knows what this colossal being even looks like. After scanning the radar for hours, they finally pick up a massive energy anomaly. They follow the signal to a planet being torn apart, mercilessly consumed. Everything that once lived there, gone. Mr. Fantastic runs the numbers. Galactus' ship is about 13% bigger than Earth. That stat alone makes the threat feel even more real. Sue Storm uses her invisibility to slip into the giant structure, but she doesn't stay hidden for long. Galactus, an entity of unfathomable power, detects her. He scans each of them, even the unborn child growing inside Sue. Then Shalabal shows up again, calm, cold, and distant. She says Galactus is ready to receive them, and that they never should have come. As they land, the team braces themselves for whatever's coming. They send Herbie, their loyal robot, to collect whatever samples he can for analysis. But Shalabal makes something very clear. Galactus doesn't choose the planets he consumes. She does. It's her duty and her curse. Johnny steps toward her, eyes full of guts and questions, asking what those words meant, the ones she whispered before tossing him off her board. Shalabal looks at him, her face unreadable, and answers with quiet weight. In her language, it was a blessing. It meant, die with your own. Finally, they come face to face with Galactus, the feared devourer of worlds. But, to their surprise, he doesn't obliterate them on the spot. Instead, he gives them something rare, his attention. His voice, deep and ancient, like the universe itself, rumbles as he speaks. He reveals that once, long ago, he was just like them. Small, fragile, human. That was millions of years ago, before the cosmic hunger overtook, before he became the force of destruction they now stand before. Gazing down on them with massive, detached presence, he tells them they've traveled far, hoping to beg for mercy. He believes he understands their mission, that they think they're worthy enough to save their world. But Galactus isn't really interested in that. What he wants is the unborn child. He declares that the child Sue Storm carries, her and Reed Richards' son, is the key. Within him lies something beyond human comprehension, a raw, ancient, cosmic power just waiting to awaken. Galactus makes his offer. He'll spare Earth, but only if they hand over the baby. Only then will the destruction stop. That child is Franklin Richards. In the records of the cosmos, Franklin is marked as an Omega-level mutant, a being with God-tier abilities including reality-warping powers and massive psionic force. In countless possible futures, he becomes one of the most powerful entities the universe has ever known. But for now, that power sleeps, hidden inside a body that hasn't even been born. And right then, like fate pulling the strings, Sue Storm goes into labor. Her water breaks. The baby's coming. Galactus, in that thunderous, godlike voice, delivers his verdict. He'll devour Earth slowly and make her child watch every second of it. Shalabal, his herald, blocks their way. No one's leaving. A battle breaks out. The Fantastic Four pull it together and manage to take her down temporarily. No time to waste. They rush back to their ship and blast off at full speed, but Shalabal's not done. She takes off after them, tearing through the void of space, matching their light speed jump, because, yeah, she can do that too. Mid-chase, she tries to breach the ship and snatch the baby. Johnny Storm jumps out to intercept her, but he hesitates. Something about her, since the moment they met, got under his skin. He's drawn to her, captivated. He can't pull the trigger, and physics doesn't help. Moving at light speed, his powers distort. His flames are useless out here. The team calls an audible. They throttle down the speed field, a risky move that could suck them into chronospace. Basically, a one-way trip to nowhere, but they've got no other choice. In those few split seconds, Sue uses her power, makes the whole ship invisible. just enough. They lose Shala Bal. She gets caught in unstable hyperspace currents, trapped, at least for now. The immediate threat is behind them, but time isn't on their side. They don't have enough fuel to make it back to Earth quickly. Sue, exhausted and in pain, can't hold out any longer. She starts pushing while Reed holds her close, guiding her. Calm, sharp focus, deep love, right there, middle of galactic storm. And just like that, in the heart of chronospace, a place where time and matter fold like paper, Franklin Richards is born. A new light, glowing with cosmic light and perfect silence. A being who may one day change the fate of the entire universe. Finally, after a whole month gone, the Fantastic Four return to Earth. As their ship touches down, crowds flood the streets. Applause, cheers, tears of joy. To the people, this is it. Victory. The heroes are back. Galactus must have been defeated, but the team steps out with heavy faces. Mr. Fantastic takes the mic, and through the roar of the crowd, he delivers the hard truth. Galactus wasn't defeated. He reveals they struck a deal, but the cost was unthinkable. Galactus asked for something he could never give, his newborn son. Meanwhile, somewhere beyond, Shala Bal escapes her trap in hyperspace and returns to her master.
Galactus, unmoved, reminds Shala Bal that both she and the child possess unimaginable power, but the boy, Franklin Richards, is the key. A being of infinite potential who, at last, might satisfy his endless hunger and allow him to rest. Shala Bal must find the child and bring him to him. Reed Richards, overwhelmed, realizes he's dealing with something that's far beyond human logic. Galactus doesn't see Franklin as a child, but as his successor, the perfect vessel to inherit the curse of cosmic power. And the most terrifying part? They have no plan, none. As panic starts to set in, Johnny approaches his sister with a strange-looking helmet. Inside, he's stored trace pheromones connected to Shala Bal, something that lets them project a hidden message, her so-called blessing. Johnny confesses he'd heard that voice before in those old interstellar language archives. Now, with this clue, he thinks he can help Mr. Fantastic decode who Shala Bal really is and what she truly wants. But just as they start to make progress, the news hits. Protests erupt across the globe. Crowds are demanding that Fantastic Four hand over the baby to save the planet. The pressure is unbearable. The media storm grows by the hour. Reed tries to comfort Sue, swearing he'd never let that happen, but Sue cuts him off. She knows. Even if just for a second, the thought crossed her mind. And that is all it takes for the trust to crack. Without a word, disappointed and hurt, Sue walks away from her husband. Out on the streets, the tension is thick, almost suffocating. Massive crowds have taken over, demanding the unthinkable, the life of a newborn in exchange for the survival of the planet. Uncertainty has turned into hysteria. Fear has become a wildfire, fueled by collective desperation. And then, from deep inside the building, someone steps out. No cape, no shield, no armor, but she walks like nothing can touch her. Sue Storm appears, face steady, steps unwavering, soul burning. In her arms, she holds her newborn son, Franklin Richards, the child the world already painted as a threat before he ever opened his eyes. She walks through the crowd like a lighthouse in a storm, unfazed by the shouting, the signs, the flashing cameras. Every step says the same thing. She's not here to ask for permission. She's here to make one thing crystal clear. She climbs a makeshift platform and rises above the chaos. In that instant, the whole city goes silent. The same faces that were filled with fury now show hesitation. The sight is impossible to ignore. A mother standing before the judgment of the world, holding in her arms the most precious gift the universe ever gave her. She wasn't there to apologize or to make empty promises. She came with one simple, powerful truth. That child wasn't a symbol, wasn't a weapon, wasn't some price to be paid. He was her son, and if the world thought it had the right to demand him, then it was about to find out just how far a united family could go. She wasn't willing to sacrifice her baby to save the planet, but she also wasn't about to let the planet die just to protect her own. In her heart, the line had already been drawn. That day, Sue Storm didn't need to raise her voice. She didn't need to turn invisible or create force fields. Her will was her shield, her love was her power. And there, in front of millions of eyes, she made a choice no cosmic force could ever bend. They would fight, not for duty, not for glory, but for what really mattered. They would fight for their child, for humanity, for the future. And they'd do it the only way they ever knew how, together, as a family that doesn't break. The crowd erupts into applause. Everyone's with her. Then, Mr. Galactic steps forward, says he has the ultimate solution. Move Earth. Relocate the entire planet to a part of the universe so far, so hidden, that Galactus would never find it. He explains he's already built an interdimensional bridge. So far, he's only managed to teleport a single egg a few feet, but still, standing before all of humanity, he lays out the boldest plan yet. Move the entire Earth to a corner of the cosmos where it could stay hidden for millions of years. To pull off something this massive, they'll need every resource, every ounce of power they've got. And for that, humanity has to step up. Every single person will need to cut their energy use to the bare minimum. Every light turned off, every screen powered down, it all mattered. That saved energy is what will fuel the quantum bridges needed to move the planet. Meanwhile, Johnny finally cracks the full code behind Shalabal's ancient language. With that knowledge in hand, he prepares to trigger his part of the plan, initiating Earth's displacement. But just when things seem to be going right, Shalabal reappears out of nowhere. She sabotages the connections, killing the momentum in the most critical phase. Johnny doesn't flinch. He goes out to meet her, calm and focused. He plays back intercepted transmission from deep space right in front of her. In her own language, he tells her he knows. He's figured out who she really is. He's pieced together her past, bit by bit, through fragments of her native tongue. And now, he speaks the truth. She was once a brilliant scientist. When Galactus came to her world, she offered him eternal loyalty. In exchange for sparing her family, he accepted and remade her. Those mysterious transmissions, they weren't warning. They were thank you messages from the only planet Galactus ever spared. Face to face with the truth, Johnny forces her to confront what she buried long ago. She reminds them it was her who led Galactus to all those worlds, the ones now reduced to ashes. And now she's bringing him here, to Earth. Shalabal, wrecked by guilt, backs off, visibly shaken. Johnny follows, trying to break through to whatever's left of her humanity. He tells her he gets it. She was just protecting her planet, same as he's doing now. But she's done pretending. Broken inside, she demands the child. Says if Franklin were older, he'd make the sacrifice himself, just like she wanted. Johnny, offers himself a death, but she shuts him down cold. It's not his call to make. Then, with a voice that's more ice than air, she drops the bomb. They have to save the kid, even if it means sacrificing the whole damn world. That is, if they still have time. So, after a tense back and forth, a crazy plan starts to form. Forget trying to move the planet out of Galactus's path. Instead, they're gonna try to move Galactus away from the planet. The key? Split him from his ship. That's his power source, his GPS, everything. If the math checks out, they might be able to launch him to the farthest edge of the universe. And without his ride, he's stuck, stranded in the middle of cosmic nowhere. Then Sue Storm steps up. She says the plan could work, but there's one catch. To pull it off, they'll need baby Franklin's power. At first, the others flat out refuse. There's no way they're dragging the baby into this. But with zero other options on the table, reality hits hard. So, yeah. With heavy hearts, but locked in minds, they agree, and the plan goes into motion. To really make this thing work, they call in Harvey, better known as the Mole Man, underground pro, king of the tunnel. He takes charge of the mass evacuation, guiding people down into the deep shelters, far from the chaos that's about to break loose. Under his lead, thousands begin to move underground, while above, the stage is being set for the final act. The Fantastic Four, nerves shredded, bring baby Franklin to the designated spot. They place him right in the middle of the zone, alone, baked. The silence is thick. Everyone's holding their breath. Then he comes, Galactus, descending from his ship like a cosmic god, silent and terrifying. He scans the field, looking for the child. Just his presence makes the air vibrate. Space itself bends around him. And when his feet hit the ground, that's the cue. The four strike from all sides. Quick, calculated hits, trying to shake him, lead him straight into the trap, but it's no use. They realize it fast. This dude's not a villain. He's a force of nature. You can't cut him, can't blind him, can't even slow him down. His power? It's beyond reason. For a moment, it looks like the trap might work, but then he stops, rises to full height, and with a voice that sounds like the end of the world, he roars, "Deceitful worms." Then, Galactus locks in. A direct scan aims straight at the baby's location. Once he spots him, the Titan starts marching forward, every step like an earthquake. But the heroes? They're not about to let him take the kid without a fight. One by one, they throw themselves in his path, ready to stop him no matter the cost. But Galactus? He's on a whole other level. With a single swipe, he sends Ben Grimm flying off the battlefield like a rag doll. Johnny doesn't think twice, he jets off after him, trying to break his fall. Meanwhile, Mr. Fantastic steps up, face to face with the end of worlds. Using every ounce of his elastic strength, he wraps around the giant, trying to slow him down. But Galactus just grabs him, cool as a lab tech running an experiment, and stretches him like taffy. He's about to snap Reed in half. That's when Ben and Johnny come crashing back in, just in time to stop the worst. In the chaos, Galactus pushes forward. No stopping him now. He reaches the baby, scoops him up in his massive hands with a weird, almost gentle touch. Then, in a voice that echoes through the void, he whispers, "You are my release. It's time to feed." But he didn't count on one thing, a mother's fury. Sue Storm, burning with rage and love, taps into something deeper, something primal, something unstoppable. Her invisible force lashes out in waves. Pure power, pure wrath. She starts pushing Galactus back, hit after hit, breaking him down, one blast at a time.
With razor-sharp focus and fearless precision, Sue guides him right to the trap, the exact spot where the dimensional snare's been set. From a distance, Johnny watches, holding his breath, and the moment Galactus steps into position, boom, he hits the trigger. A surge of raw energy explodes around the cosmic giant. In seconds, the whole plan clicks in place. Galactus is yanked out of reality, sucked into the farthest edge of the universe, just like they mapped out. And the baby, saved by mere inches, snatched to safety by his father. But Sue, she collapses, drained, barely conscious. That kind of power, it took everything out of her. Just as relief starts to settle in, the ground shakes. A deep, awful rumble. Galactus is coming back. From inside the dimension they banished him to. He's forcing his way out. A crack opens, growing fast. In a heartbeat, they realize this isn't over. Johnny steps up, no hesitation. He knows what he has to do. He glances at his team one last time, flashes a crooked smile, and says, "Tell the kid, Uncle Johnny loves him." He's just about to hurl himself into the rift when suddenly a figure steps out of the distortion, Shala Bal. Without a word, she shoves Johnny out of the way and throws herself into the breach, a final act of redemption. She drags Galactus down with her into the abyss. It's done. The battle's over. They all rush to Sue Storm, worn out, bleeding but breathing, the mother who stood up to a god for her child. Sue Storm was lying there, breathless. Her body, completely still, looked like it had just given out after one hell of an effort. Reed, her husband, was spiraling into panic, doing everything he could to bring her back. He called her name, pushed on her chest, begged her to wake up, but nothing. No response. Just silence. The kind of silence that makes it feel like the whole universe just stopped to watch. That's when Franklin, their little boy, started getting restless. Cradled in the arms of a teammate, he squirmed and cried out, reaching toward his mom like he could feel her absence deep in his tiny soul. Seeing that, they gently laid him next to Sue's motionless body, and then, boom, something no one saw coming happened. A warm, glowing energy, like something straight out of heaven, poured out of the kid. Suddenly, Sue's heart kicked back in. She gasped, her lungs filled with air, and her eyes flew open. She was alive. And Franklin? He clapped his little hands like he knew exactly what he'd done. Sue looked at him, eyes trembling with tears, then turned to Reed. Her voice was weak, but full of wonder, as she said, "I felt it. I felt his energy. Our son's not like us. He's so much more." The planet had been saved. The baby, too. And now even his mother was back because of him. Mission accomplished. The Fantastic Four, now officially 5, joined the crowd. People were cheering, celebrating their heroism. As a token of gratitude, someone handed them a tiny suit with the number 5 writ right on the chest. A sweet gesture, welcoming the newest member of the fam. But Reed and Sue just smiled and gently turned it down. It was too soon. Franklin was still just a baby. Right as they were about to be formally introduced to the world, their comms lit up with a sharp alert. Without a word, they vanished. And that's where the movie wraps, or so it seemed. Because hold up, there's a post-credits scene. 4 years later, a quiet afternoon, Sue Storm's at home, curled up on a comfy chair, little Franklin on her lap. He's listening closely as she reads him a story. The moment feels peaceful, perfect. Sue gets up for a second to grab another book from the shelf. She's gone for just a few beats, but when she comes back, Franklin's not alone anymore. Standing right in front of him is a cloaked figure, wearing black, face hidden behind a cold metallic mat. Looks like Dr. Doom has entered the chat, which means the Fantastic Four will return in Avenger Doomsday. Now that's the real end of this story. Catch you next time.